Well, how y'all are this afternoon? This is your buddy George Jones over at the Bergen Gun Range with my next installment on. Let me run my mouth for about 10 minutes and then we'll shoot a gun. That sounds like a good. So what we're going to talk about is this thing, the AR-7 rifle. Yeah, the AR-7 rifle has an interesting past. It started out with a rifle that was made by Fairchild Aircraft Corporation, also known as Armalite. So in the late 1950s, the Air Force had a bad crash. They had a propeller-driven transport plane flying over the Canadian muskeg, and it developed an engine fire and developed a fuel tank fire, and the crew had to bail out. And they bailed out in such a hurry that they didn't have their survival weapons with them, which were conventional long guns, you know. They lived out there for they gathered up and got together, and they had one pistol between them. I think there was like 12 crew members, with very little survival equipment at all, but they managed to survive. They were so far out in the boonies it took 7 days to bring them all out, you know, because there was a limited supply of helicopters, I suppose. So the Air Force put out a directive for a collapsible survival type rifle firearm. And give me that other one. Armalite came out with a version of the AR-7. Now this is a charter. We couldn't find an Armalite. I looked all over the place, asked everybody in the country, tried to find an Armalite. This is a charter. This would have been the late 1960s, early 1970s version. And Armalite had such a good contracts with the War Department, Department of Defense, that they figured that their design would be a shoe-in. And with that in mind, they pre-manufactured 5,000 guns. Well, guess what? They didn't get the contract. Somebody beat them out. So, what happened? Armalite came along and said, well, we're stuck with these guys. We haven't got anybody to sell them to, so we'll sell them to the general public. And that's what they did. And they were relatively slow sellers up until the time the James Bond movie From Russia with Love came out, where James Bond supposedly shoots down a helicopter with one of these guys, with an AR-7. He doesn't actually shoot the helicopter down. What he does is he shoots the guy holding the live hand grenade, and he drops it in the helicopter, and the helicopter blows up. That's how it actually went. Then the popularity of the AR-7 took off for 2 or 3 years, and they managed to sell out, and then all of a sudden the popularity of it just died. So here we are in the 1960s with a futuristic space-age type survival gun that's not selling. Somebody else took a whack at it, Survival Industries or something. They took a whack at it at some point. Charter Arms came out with their version in the 1970s, and it was an exact copy, licensed manufactured copy. It sold pretty good. It was a favorite, I can say, in the early 1970s, it was a favorite of Boy Scouts, because you could put it in your pack and take it anywhere you wanted to. You know, it wasn't a problem. They went out after a while, and about 12, 14 years ago, Henry was an up-and-coming thing, and they decided that they would manufacture it. Now, there's very little difference between the Henry and the Charter. Now, this has been messed with and goofed with, and this one's in not very good shape, but it serves to show you the slight differences between the Henry and the more common Charter. The Charter's buttstock holds everything, okay? And it floats. It'll float assembled, it'll float stowed. It has a place for one magazine, and you can't install the receiver section in the buttstock with the magazine in place, okay? That's one of the major differences. The barrels do interchange between the two guns, and I think the barrel on this one's actually made a little bit better. The barrel on the Henry, the fat part of it is some type of polymer with a steel liner in it. This one is a steel lined cast aluminum. So there's small differences. The magazines, this guy always had feeding problems. They cured the feeding problem by, this is the Charter magazine. You notice that. The Henry magazine has a little piece of spring wire right here that guides that cartridge into battery more efficiently, and it works much better. Okay, any other differences? Yeah, a few. There it went. Oh, gets it back up here where it goes. The Henry, you may install the receiver section with a magazine in the receiver, ready to go. And then it has a place for 2 more magazines. So you can have a total of 3 magazines on board, which are 7-shot magazines. You know, you're not liable to get into a big, hairy, sustained gun battle with an AR-7. But on the other hand, you have a pretty good selection of loaded magazines handy. Okay, how viable is it as a .22 rifle? Well, let's look at that for a minute. Let me get a loaded magazine here. And how reliable is it? Well, the Charter never was very reliable. I think a gill gun, a click-clack, is probably more reliable than a Charter Arms AR-7. We're going to get some warning to YouTube moderators. I am installing my suppressor. And some neat safety glasses that I borrowed off Matt Olmstead that's standing right over there. Okay, let's give it a try. We've got 2 loaded magazines. We're going to, what are we going to do? Well, I know what we're going to do. I'm going to turn this camera around, point it down range. That's what we're going to do. Just like this. Yeah. Yeah, that's the ticket. All right. I'll point it down range just like that. I want to insert one of these here magnification box feeding devices in it. Get it chunked up in there. Now let's see how it shoots. Let's try we got a lot of forearm on this gun. Let's try let's try something. Let's try 10-inch hanging steel. Let me put my gun on safe. Put my gun on safe. Try it again. Whoops, had a stovepipe. Look at that. I ain't supposed to have that stovepipe. I've done said this gun works good, and now it don't. Got one in it? No. I swear. Murph, get out of here. There we go. Let's try a steel chicken. Oh, it hit one. Look at that. Try another one. Well, what's that? We'll have to Regalodin. Get a regalodin. Try the steel chickens again, the little air gun targets. Well, something's happening. Come on. Alrighty. Okie dokie. An interesting note is, you see me shoot Henrys on here all the time. You see down there at 25 yards, them little steel chickens are flopping back and forth. Okay. This is a brand new gun. We took it out of the box here at the range. That's the crazy thing about a Henry. Every one of them I've ever shot is zeroed right out of the box. Well, how's that happen? Well, that gun has to be fired 3 times with a high pressure round before it can leave the factory as proof it won't blow up. So that guy in the proof room, he shoots thousands of guns hundreds and hundreds of times a day. So it gets to where he puts up a paper target down the proof tube and gets to where he can shoot that gun, make a little adjustment. Shoot that gun, make a little adjustment. Shoot that gun, and it's zeroed. That's how you get a Henry rifle. Zeroed right out of the box. So it works good. It's on the finger scale, it is in the 2.5 range. Is it worth it? Buddy, if I stayed on the lake all the time, I'd have one of these things. If I stayed on the river all the time, used to do what I used to do, run trot lines and trap and crap, I'd have one of these guys. The state of Alaska says if you operate a single or twin engine aircraft in their state, you have to have a rifle or a firearm on your plane in direct violation of the FAA. One of them better be this, you can take this thing down and just take the barrel off of it and leave the rest of it together, and it packs along pretty easy. Backpacker, you like to get out in the back country and run around in a 4-wheeler or whatever, I'd have one of these guys. You might have to spend the night, so it's definitely worth it, viable, and it's the best version of it so far. Okay, best version of it so far. All right then, that's about the size of it for the old Henry U.S. survival rifle. Like to teach, verify, commentate, and subscribe. Leave me a $1 in the Patreon box if you want to, and if you don't, well, I keep right on making content for you. Be kind to everyone you meet, but have a plan. Carry your gun all the time. Go to the range and get good with it. You never know when somebody's going to go off. And seeing as how they're letting 100,000 a month of offs come into the country, you need to be carrying your gun. God bless everyone, and God bless America. We'll see you when we see you. Bye now. Well, I guess it's about time for another boneyard video. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, yeah. Oh, well, it's just a thing in case you need to relieve yourself. Yeah. Another boneyard video. There's a little old trailer, not too bad a shape. Sledgehammer picks that right up. Got the old big junk pile. And all these places seem to have a junk pile. What is that? I could actually use some of that out on the range. you see stuff and you don't know where it comes from and how did it get here. And they can't explain to you where they got it, and it's like, you know. Next time I'm over here, I have to investigate that rod steel right there. That'd make a. I come over here. This is at Army Surplus Warehouse in Lexington, Kentucky. I come over here to get stuff to make targets out of and do projects with. You know, there's a mold immersion heater up there, a deep freeze, and I don't know what these things are. I think they're political yard sale sign wires, you know, whatever. But you see the damnedest things in this scrap pile, you know. I've come over here and got all kinds of crap off of him. I don't know what this is, you know. Just a lot of stuff. There's always a bunch of stuff over here. Oh. If you look real close, you notice right there, there's a piece off a mill. What's this? Oh, that's a nice thing. And then you get around to the actual boneyard. The bone of the yards. Woof, what's that? Well, that's a Huey's, what that is. UH1HB, a real one. It's not in, it's not in real good shape. I can't get in it. They won't let me in. Try this handle. Oh, it's got that lock on there. Well, okay. It's a Huey. That's in pretty bad shape, actually. Just another boneyard video. I'll always wind up. Whoops, there's nothing in there. Okay. Here's another one. This carcass ain't in that bad a shape, actually. This carcass is not in that bad a shape. You know, I mean, it's got a lot gone out of it, but most of them have had crap torn out of them. And this one's in pretty good shape. You know, they're just these guys will wind up on display in a military museum or, you know, a military museum or a historic site or, you know, Veterans Memorial, that kind of thing. That's where they wind up at, because you get so many hours on them, there's nothing you can do with them anymore. You know, they become so much scrap metal. You know, this one's pretty much complete. So, you want to buy yourself a Huey? I know a guy, you know, got about a half dozen of them. You know. Pretty cool place. Army Surplus Warehouse, Lexington, Kentucky on Loudon Avenue. Well, I better go find me something else to do.